this is Jen with LiveAFastLife.com, and this is video 2 in my 3-part decluttering video series. So if you haven't watched the intro or the first video yet, basically the reason why I wanted to do this video series is I know a lot of you probably want to start decluttering in 2017. That's probably going to be one of your New Year's resolutions, to get rid of all that clutter, all that junk that's around your house. So I wanted to kind of give you a running start into the new year and really just let you know it's not difficult. It's not as hard as you've probably been making it out to be in your head, and just give you some easy tools, some easy tips that you can follow to really make this a doable process, a fun process, and something that you're really excited about doing in 2017. So for this second part of the series, I actually combined two things, but these are both two huge things that if you implement these two things, you'll see a huge difference in the amount of clutter around your house, because these are both areas where clutter just really just piles up and kind of gets out of control. So we're going to talk about how to go through your closet, and we're going to talk about how to go digital. So first things first, going through your closet. Now, I know that might sound like it's a simple thing and you kind of just like open your closet door and look in there and pull things out, right? But it's definitely not that simple. So I have a 3-part process that makes it easier for you to go through everything. So you're going to do this in 3 totally separate steps. You're not going to combine these at all. That's kind of where people get overwhelmed, I feel like, is they're trying to keep all these different tags sort of in their head while they're going through their closet, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed. So we're going to do this in 3 separate sweeps, and you're only going to keep one rule or one guideline in your head at a time, okay? So the first sweep that you're going to do through your closet is the obvious stuff. So this is going to be stuff that has holes in it, stuff that's stained, stuff that's faded, you know, things like that. Those are the obvious pieces that you're probably going to be pretty, you know, easily able to pull out and just get rid of because they're damaged in some way. So just focus on that as your first sweep through your closet. Holes, faded, stained, damaged. Take all those items out, put those in your pile to donate and get rid of. Then start over again at the beginning of your closet a second time. Now this second sweep is going to be to get rid of things that are too big for you, too small for you, too old for you, too young for you. You know, these could be pieces that maybe you've kept for a really long time, or maybe they're pieces that people gave to you that, you know, really don't necessarily fit your style or even fit your age. Things that maybe you've outgrown, that you've gotten too large for, or opposite, if, you know, maybe something is too small for you. Again, these are going to be more of the obvious things, but still things that kind of get hidden in there and just kind of get smushed between all the other clothes. And especially with the age thing, I know when I went through my clothes personally, I had things that I had owned for, like, I'm not even kidding, like 10 or 11 years. And yeah, they were still cute, but I'm like, do I really need to still be wearing this? Like, if I can picture myself wearing this when I was, you know, 19 or 20, do I still need to be wearing this? So that'll be your second sweep. Then once you pull all those items out and all of that stuff is in the pile, so now you got rid of anything that's damaged, anything that's too old, too young, too small, too big, all of those kind of obvious, easy to get rid of pieces are gone. Now the third sweep is the harder one. So when you go through this one, this time, you're going to start over at the beginning again, and you're going to get rid of things that you haven't worn in, now this is up to you if you want to say the last 6 or 9 months, or if you want to say a year. I like to say a year, just because it gives you 2 different seasons. So if you live somewhere where you have like a really definitive summer season and winter season, then you can say, well, have I worn this in the last year? And you'll kind of be catching both of those seasons. If you feel a little more adventurous, or if you live somewhere where you have more of a mild climate, you can maybe say, you know, have I worn this in the last 6 months or 9 months? And if you haven't, get rid of it. Now this is going to be the harder sweep, obviously, to go through, because what you're going to have left after those first 2 sweeps is a lot of stuff that you fit into, stuff that's appropriate for your age, stuff that's in good condition. So this is where your brain's going to try to play that little trick on you, where you go through and you pull something out and it passes all those other tests and you're like, oh, this is so cute. Why don't I wear this? Like, I should definitely wear this. And then you hang it back up, and then you go about your life and you still don't wear it. So you have to kind of just mute that little voice in your head. Don't get caught by that voice that says, oh, I should wear this, or oh, why didn't I wear this? There's a reason why you didn't wear it. It's for whatever reason. It's not one of your favorite pieces. It's not something that you pull out. It's not something you even think about. So that's why you have to kind of get rid of, all of those extra pieces first, so that you can really get down to see what you have left that does fit you, that is in great shape, but maybe just for whatever reason isn't something that you tend to pull out and wear. So again, look at something. If you haven't worn it in the last, fill in the time frame, whatever you want to do, 6 months, 9 months, no more than a year. Definitely no more than a year. A year is pushing it. Then you can get rid of those items. And it's going to take willpower. It's going to take strength on your part to do that, because you are going to feel that challenge. You are going to feel that part of you say, oh, well, what if I want to wear this, in the future? You just have to be honest with yourself and realize, if I haven't worn it up to this point, I'm probably not going to. And what you'll find, and what I've found, with lots of people that I've helped and with myself, is that you really only wear about 20% of your wardrobe. And I talk about a couple different little tests that you can sort of run for yourself at home. I talk about that in my course, but they just kind of help you see more clearly what you're wearing, what you're washing and putting away. And it is kind of the same items. We all do it. We all tend to go back to the same general set of items in our wardrobe, and we don't really touch all the excess. So a great way to get rid of clutter and to give yourself more space and to lower your stress level in the morning when you're getting ready for work is to just get rid of that excess. So again, remember to do it in the 3 steps. Don't worry about trying to remember all of those different factors and guidelines at once, because then you will get overwhelmed. But hopefully at the end of those 3 sweeps, you can have it really narrowed down to things that fit you, things that are appropriate for you, things that show your style, things that you enjoy wearing, and then all the excess is gone. And you can also repeat these 3 steps with your other items. So your shoes, your scarves, for women, your purses and your jewelry, and just kind of repeat that same 3-step process, and that will help you really narrow down those items. Okay, so that, again, first part. Second part is to talk about going digital. So a lot of clutter can also accumulate in your office space around your desk. So maybe you have an overflowing filing cabinet. I had a filing cabinet that was so full you couldn't even open the drawers, so it really served no purpose. But I talk about in my course and also in my webinars how I felt compelled to hold on to copies of every bill I had paid for the last 3 years, and every document I needed, and it became such an excess. And when I really looked at it with objective eyes, I realized, why am I keeping all this stuff? No one's going to knock on my door and say, excuse me, what check number did you use to pay for your electric bill in June of 2013? And then I could go, oh, well, let me look in my filing cabinet. Nobody's going to ask that. And the thing is, even if they were going to ask that and I wanted to keep track of that, I could easily do that on the computer on a spreadsheet. So going digital will really help you to get rid of a lot of that paper mess. So one thing that you can do is you can buy one of those very small little desktop scanners. It literally is only about probably the length of a ruler, and not very wide. And then anytime that you have something that you want to hold on to, a copy of a bill, an office document, any paper document that you want to keep, you just run it through your scanner. It brings it onto your computer. You can either keep it on your hard drive, you can keep it on an external hard drive, you can keep it on the cloud. But the point is to get rid of the paper. So then you have everything on your computer, and of course you would shred the originals. Now, obviously, there are things you're not going to want to do this with. You're going to want to keep your original birth certificate, social security card, passport. I still keep 5 years of tax returns. And somewhere along the way, someone had told me 7, which I think might be kind of like an old wives' tale, but I had always thought you had to keep 7 years. And I actually did some research and found out that they can't audit you beyond 5 years. So really there's no reason to keep those extras. So I do, keep my paper copies of those, but then as soon as I grow out of that time frame, you know, I'll go back and get rid of that early year that I don't need anymore and just keep it at that 5-year mark going forward. Same thing with, you know, those bills. You can get rid of the copies of those bills. Sign up for e-bill services where you don't even get the paper bill anymore. You only get the electronic bills that come to your inbox. That will save huge amounts of paper. If you have magazine subscriptions that you like, look online and see. I mean, pretty much every publication now has an e-version of their publication. So sign up for the e-magazines, the e-newsletters. Get rid of those paper items so that your mail pile doesn't stack up. And on a side note, another great way to prevent the clutter from starting back up after you do all of this decluttering is make sure you go through your mail every day. I don't really even understand sometimes how much mail can build up in people's homes, but if you just take 5-10 minutes to go through that mail every day and do the scanning or do whatever, you know, address those papers and those documents however you need to, and then take care of them right then and there, then they won't stack up. Another thing that you can do, which is not going to totally get rid of the physical item, but it will definitely save space, is you can take old photos from picture frames, photo albums. I had boxes and boxes of family photos that I inherited from my parents and grandparents. And you can actually take those photos to a photo transferring service and places like Walgreens, Walmart, and there's companies online that will do this for you where you can actually arrange your photos however you'd like. You can add music, you can add graphics if you want. And what they'll do is they'll put those all on a DVD for you. So now instead of having boxes and boxes and albums full of pictures, you might have a DVD that takes up this much space on a shelf. So again, you would still have the physical DVD, but it would be a lot less space than all of the pictures. So that's a great way to really get rid of a lot of clutter. And I don't know what it is that we feel so compelled to keep pictures, and we almost feel like it's like a crime to throw them away. I know this because I felt it myself. I ended up throwing away a lot of photos, and it felt weird. It felt so weird to throw away pictures. But when it comes down to it, it's literally just a piece of paper. And heaven forbid if, you know, I had a fire or a flood, they would be gone anyway. And I still would have the memories. I still would have all the feelings. I still would have the experience. So you have to remember they're just paper. So, you know, try to just narrow it down and keep your most important prized photographs in the real original form. And then maybe other things that you still want to keep but don't necessarily need the physical photos, those could be the ones that get moved on to the DVDs. And then of course you can always use an e-reader, a Kindle, you know, something like that instead of buying physical books. I tend to still actually like to hold a real book. I don't have an e-reader, but I do have sort of like a process that my books move through to keep them going and keep them moving and not allow them to stack up in my house anymore. So I talk about that in my course as well, but you know, as long as you really downsize to the books that you most want, and then again kind of keep them moving. I'm not going to get into that process right now, but you know, buying them in a digital form will also clear up that space from books. Same thing with music. Of course you can download your music and your movies. And what I did with my movies was I actually downsized a lot, tremendously. Got rid of a lot of, I had VHS tapes, I still had a VCR, but I got rid of all of that. And I only kept DVDs of literally my most favorite movies that I knew I would go back and rewatch. But what I'm actually doing sort of still now, slowly over time, is I'm repurchasing those movies in digital form. So eventually I will hopefully not have any physical DVDs, and then I won't need even a DVD player. But you know, it's not, you might not want to go out and spend that expense right away to just replace all these movies that you already own. So it's something where, you know, if I've replaced a lot of my VHS movies on DVD, and I did that by one of the things I talk about in my course about a way to make some of your money back from your books and your movies and your video games is to take them to some of these little privately owned used bookstores where they will actually give you cash. Now, sometimes they'll only give you store credit, or they might give you a combination of both. So I end up with store credit, and I'm a minimalist, so I don't really want to buy a bunch of new stuff. But what I was able to do was I was able to replace some of those movies I was getting rid of on VHS. I was able to replace them in DVD form and just use the store credit. So it's like I didn't even really spend any money. And again, you know, that is still a physical item, but having tiny little DVDs was a lot less space consuming than having all of these old clunky VHS tapes and a VCR just to watch these movies that I still liked from, you know, 1984 or whatever. So again, these are just ways to be able to reduce the amount of stuff that you have. You also, back to the office stuff, I forgot one other thing, is your business cards. If you collect a lot of business cards, you can use a note-taking app, either on your phone or on your computer, something like Evernote. That's the one that I use. And you can literally just capture a picture of that business card. Evernote will automatically create like a little file for that person with their name and their information and their email. And then you can just get rid of those physical cards, and you can even add notes to it about like where you met the person, or, you know, maybe something that you guys discussed, and just keep all of that then on your computer. Most of the programs sync between your computer and your phone, and then you can really get rid of that physical clutter by getting rid of all of those business cards. So again, these are all just things that you can kind of keep in mind moving forward, even if you don't have time right now during the holiday season to start implementing these things yet. These are things that you can kind of just tuck away in your brain and really get motivated and excited to do in January to really start the new year off right. All right, so those are two kind of big tips, but those are, again, two big areas where clutter can really just pile up. So I really want you to kind of zone in on those two areas and see how much progress you can make. And I will be back with one more part of this series next week on Monday, and I'm not going to tell you yet what that's about, but just keep an eye out for that third part, and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.